All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. If you've watched the Chicago Bears play football this season, you know that this is a very flawed team. The Bears are 28th in yards per game this season, which includes being dead last in the NFL in passing. Chicago is number one in rushing, which is evident by how much that quarterback Justin Fields has used his legs this season. Fields is sixth in the NFL in rushing. And at the end of the day, that is never a good sign for any quarterback in the league. The Bears are not that much better on defense as they are 28th in yards allowed while allowing opponents to convert on nearly 50% of their third downs, which is last in the NFL. Chicago has lost their last 9 games, and the season obviously one has 1 week to go, but it cannot end quick enough for this team. However, even with that said, all is not lost. And I say that because if the regular season in the NFL ended today, the Bears would own the second pick in this spring's NFL draft, and they're in a prime spot to reverse the fortunes of their franchise. Now, obviously, you think about it, they have an opportunity to get a primetime player at number two, but then also they got to think about things because when Fields at quarterback, Chicago obviously they don't need to draft another quarterback and they could take advantage of their position right now and find a team or teams that are desperate to move up to take a quarterback. And in doing so, they could find some additional draft capital if that's the case. Now, you think back, Chicago didn't have a first round pick in 2022 as their first round selection went to the Giants after they moved up in the first round in 2021 to take Fields. So they need to try to find a way to recoup some of what they lost out on as they need to build this team. And what we know right now is that obviously the Bears need to build around Fields, but with the exception of Cole Kmet, they don't have a ton of talent on offense. I mean, this is scary right now. Obviously, Justin Fields is going to be the Bears' leading passer this year. He's obviously also the team's leading rusher if he's sixth in the NFL in rushing. But then on top of that, your leading receiver for this team is Darnell Mooney, and he doesn't even have 500 yards. So that just gives you an idea of how bad this passing game is. But the thing at the end of the day, it's not just about wide receivers. The Bears need to put talent around Fields altogether. An offensive line, they have to get him more comfortable in the pocket. They obviously need wide receivers, but then you got to fix this defense as well because the Bears are atrocious on that side of the ball. And it's funny because obviously different general manager, different head coach, but the Bears were a solid defensive unit just several years ago. And the likes of Leonard Floyd, Khalil Mack, and Roquan Smith are all no longer there. So obviously, this was the first year for general manager Ryan Poles and first year head coach Matt Eberflus. But the Bears as an organization, they got to try to find a way to figure out what is their identity. And I think that is the biggest thing in my mind that is hindering this team right now. They have to figure out what they're going to be as a team. Obviously, Justin Fields is a piece, but what are you going to put around him? So I think if I was the Bears, I would be looking to entertain offers for that number two pick, just due to the fact that you can still get quality defensive players, which the Bears do need, but also enhancing that draft capital, even if it means getting additional picks in 2024, you name it. But the Bears have to find a way to fix this because you look at the way that Justin Fields is playing, and right now he is looking more like an athlete at the quarterback position than a quarterback. It's one of those where Justin Fields doesn't see it and he has to take off. And he, like, again, it's part Fields, but also it's part due to the fact that he just doesn't have the talent around him. You watched him play, if you watched him play yesterday against the Lions, this young man was exhausted running all up and down the field. made a big run in the first half, and right after that, the Bears called his number to run again, and he was knocked out of bounds, and he looked like, man, what do I have to do to get a water break? So it's one of those scenarios. The Bears got to figure out what's going on and how can they fix it. And of course, the biggest question is, will they be able to get things turned around? I think it's going to be important first and foremost to see what the Bears are going to do with that number one pick. And again, not to sound like a broken record, if it was up to me, I'd trade it. See how much you can get back for that pick and then go off of that. But at the end of the day, you can't keep using Justin Fields as a running back like they are doing and expecting him to be a productive quarterback. Obviously, the athletic quarterback is the new trend in the NFL, but I've always been of the mode that, you know what, it's in vogue until somebody gets hurt. And we've seen, for an example, Lamar Jackson get hurt in each of the last 2 years, and he is a mobile quarterback. And of course, you can't help your team if you're on the sidelines. And there's a reason why quarterbacks are paid to play their position. That's why you have running backs and that's why you have wide receivers. But nonetheless, all of this scrambling around, eventually those guys are going to get hit and it's going to hinder their team. Just look at the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Pardon me, Jalen Hurts is another athletic quarterback. He took the shoulder. He's dealing with the shoulder injury right now. Has not played in the last 2 games. And what's happened? The Eagles have lost. So these are important things. You got to make Justin Fields more of a pocket passer if you're going to move forward, but you got to put the pieces around him. So it's going to be a very important offseason for Poles, Eberflus, and the Bears to figure this out, because if not, they're going to run Justin Fields into the ground, and that's not what the Bears or Mr. Fields needs. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.